Paradise Lost. This is the story of San Diego, a once great city. I'm Bill Walton, and I'm a San Diego native. I'm a lifelong resident. I'm an engaged citizen. I'm a voter, and I'm a taxpayer. San Diego, this once great city, is in crisis. We have simultaneous homeless crisis, humanitarian crises, public health crises. These are all the result of a leadership crisis. Success in anything, in a group dynamic, a team setting, a city, a community, whatever, success is always a result of effective leadership. Conversely, failure is a result of lack of leadership. And when there's failure, it's the fault and responsibility of the leader. Being part of a team, a community, a group, and a city, that's a privilege. It carries with it duty, obligation, and responsibility. Some of the first lessons of responsibility are clean up after yourself. Or how about protecting the rights of others regarding shared public space? This story of our once great city started for me 69 years ago. I was born in San Diego. I grew up in Balboa Park. When I was 26 years old, 43 years ago, we found our family dream home in Hillcrest on the north end of Balboa Park. It was the people, it was the facilities, it was the possibilities and opportunities that were just endlessly positive and so full of hope. It was my dream. It's an iconic neighborhood, eclectic, and very densely populated, as densely populated a community and neighborhood as there is in all of San Diego. And there's always Balboa Park. And our immediate neighbors, the Boy Scouts, the Girl Scouts, Roosevelt Middle School, the Veterans Memorial Building with its disabled service centers for our veterans, the Center for the Blind, and our world-famous San Diego Zoo. Right in the middle of all of this is the park on the east side of Park Boulevard between Morley Field Drive and Zoo Place. It's an expansive, flat, level, free, public open green space with spectacular views and the all-encompassing wonders of nature and life, and places where families could go, where children could play, roll in the grass and in the dirt. Didn't have a name like all the other sections of Balboa Park. It wasn't named Bird Park. It wasn't named Marston or Inspiration Point. It wasn't named 6th and Laurel. It wasn't named Lawn Bowling Park. It wasn't named the Pepper Grove or the Redwood Grove. It was always just the park. And it was all better than perfect. It was Shamrocks. It had everything anyone could ever ask for. It was my dream. But then the problem. A few years back, our mayor, Todd, Gloria, decided that the park would be a terrific place for a massive homeless encampment with its accompanying nightmares of enormous amounts of trash, safety issues, lack of sanitation, health problems, and security issues, and all the other tragedies that are now part of life in our beloved but crumbling neighborhood. This is absurd and insane. This is a shipwreck. The rest is the sad story of our once great but now failing neighborhood and community, and our beloved park, which for years was just called the Park. It now has a new name, Todd Gloriaville. I'm a patriot. I love our neighborhood and I love our city, and I'm fighting to save it. I have been after our city officials for years to provide us with a safe, secure, healthy, and clean place for us to live, work, and play, to clean up our park, to pave the 2 streets that are the only way through to the south from our neighborhood, Park Boulevard and Zoo Drive, to clear the sidewalks and the bike paths of the homeless encampments so that we can freely move about our once great city. A moment on the bike paths. There are bike paths throughout our city. There are 3 critical ones for the transportation of people who are riding their bikes. In no particular order, there's the Ocean Beach bike path, there's the Embarcadero bike and pedestrian path right along the water between Hawthorne Street and the airport, and then there's the Vermont Street Bridge, which connects Hillcrest with the neighbors to the north and to the east. On any given day, it can be any one of our bike paths, which are specifically designated for bikes. There are no other parks in our city with the massive homeless encampment that we have in Gloriaville. There are no other parts of Balboa Park with the massive homeless encampments that we have in Gloriaville. I have spoken with our terrific San Diego PD. They say they operate at the direction and command of Todd Gloria. The same with our city council. Talk to Todd Gloria. The same with the ADA, Compliance Department. I'm disabled. They say too, talk to Todd Gloria. The same with the California Coastal Commission. Talk to Todd Gloria. I begged, I pleaded with Todd Gloria. We want our neighborhood back. We want our community, our park, our bike paths back. It was less than useless. It was a massive and stupefying exercise in futility. Todd Gloria governs by the changing winds of social media. Todd Gloria, in our conversations, prefaces every explanation with, "This is not an excuse." Then he goes on to make yet another excuse. Todd Gloria likes to excuse his failures by saying his San Diego Police Department is understaffed. What Todd does not point out is that since he took office, his oath to serve and protect and to provide us with a safe, secure, healthy, and clean environment to live, work, and play, that there are about 300 fewer officers on our San Diego Police Department today than when Todd Gloria took office, and that many of those officers have left because they can't or won't work for Todd Gloria. Why can't we fill these official and critical San Diego Police Department positions? People who want this honorable profession and career, they don't want to work for Todd Gloria. Now, Todd Gloria and his self-proclaimed Todd Squad, they love to run around our once great city, telling everyone what a great job he's doing. This is nonsensibly absurd. Are we to believe his hot air or our own eyes? Things are worse now than ever before, and our lives are being dictated by an out-of-control and unruly homeless population. Every time I go out on my bike, I'm threatened, chased, attacked, and assaulted by homeless people. Our mail and deliveries are stolen from our front door. We are not able to move freely through our neighborhood or Balboa Park. This is not what we bought into in our special compact with Todd Gloria. I have asked Todd Gloria what I can do to help. I got no response. I have asked Todd Gloria what he was going to do to rectify this horrific human tragedy and travesty. I got no response. I have asked Todd Gloria if he recommends to me, as a 69-year-old disabled bike rider, should I carry tear gas, pepper spray, maybe a taser for my own protection? I got no response. I have asked Todd Gloria for a tax rebate, a tax credit, and a reduction on my future taxes because of his failures to deliver the security and safety, that healthy and clean environment that we have every right to expect. I got no response. Todd Gloria, he has no problem whatsoever cleaning up and then selling or leasing or renting our public lands for his own benefit. But try asking Todd Gloria to provide us, the people who live here, and need our parks, streets, sidewalks, and bike paths for our everyday life, and just want to go to the park, to ride our bikes to the beach, to walk in our neighborhoods, to feel safe and secure in our own homes and lives. He's got no time, heart, or stomach for that. Because to Todd Gloria, we don't count. We don't matter. And he doesn't care. And what do we get? We get Gloriaville. Now, the solution. We need new leadership. Todd Gloria should step aside. Todd Gloria campaigned for his job on the promise that he would fix the homeless, humanitarian, and public health crisis in our once great city. Todd Gloria has made it worse. He is not up to the job. He does not know how to do the job. He does not want to do the job. Todd Gloria has been wrong on these crises his entire career. These crises need a leader who will insist on constant engagement with the homeless population, insist on consistent rehabilitation, and be responsible for the constant enforcement of the rules of a functioning society. We want the homeless population off the streets, out of the parks, off the sidewalks and bike paths. Give them a life of dignity. Give them the chance to build their lives and their dreams. These crises are not just going to go away by themselves. These are matters of equal protection, equal enforcement, common sense, and human decency. And all of these matters require leadership and enforcement. We have the resources, we have the facilities. We have huge numbers of people who want to help, to be shamrocks. We have the historical precedent. Years ago, South Mission Beach, Golden Hill, disasters like we have today. But with leadership and enforced regulations, those neighborhoods have been reclaimed, they've been restored and maintained. With regular and consistent enforcement, it can be done, and it has to be done again. Now, I started this quietly. I thought that Todd Gloria would see the light and that he would do the right thing. I was mistaken and proven wrong. Somehow, some way, other people found out about my behind-the-scenes efforts to save our once great city. My efforts have now intensified and are now in the public domain. We are building coalitions of concerned citizens and all the stakeholders who share a love for our once great city. And while my efforts are now public, others have continued the quiet back-channel discussions and diplomacy to solve these crises that are failures of the human spirit. I have been told by these intermediaries that Todd Gloria has stated that he is not going to do anything about Gloriaville, about our bike paths, about our sidewalks, or about any of this. This is absurd. This is insane. This is a shipwreck. I'm a patriot, and I love my once great city. Sadly, and with a broken heart, I can no longer claim that San Diego is the greatest place on earth. I can no longer urge family, friends, tourists, and businesses to come and spend your lives here. I can no longer recommend that people should move to our once great neighborhood and join our once great community. I can no longer say that this is my dream. And I'm brokenhearted. Our friend and leader, fallen and passed now, Father Joe, 2.5 years ago, in his scooter, leaving his office, his center, downtown, the sidewalks, the streets, overrun, dominated by homeless encampments of incalculable size and measure. Father Joe himself could not get through on his scooter. Like me, Father Joe, disabled. Father Joe tried to go around. He couldn't. He had to go over and off the curb. While doing that, the disabled Father Joe, he tumbled and he fell and he ended up in the gutter. And he stayed in that gutter, filled with trash, with urine, with feces, with human waste of indescribable proportions. And he laid there for 30 minutes in the gutter by himself before somebody came by to help him. This is absurd. This is insane. I want our parks back. I want our streets paved and made usable. I want our sidewalks and bike paths to be used as intended. And I want our lives back. It's fitting and appropriate that we're gathering here today on the campus of USD at the Institute for Peace and Justice. I am well aware that without justice, there can be no peace. And when historians look back at the failed and brief tenure of Todd Gloria as our once great city crumbles, dissolves, devolves, these historians, they'll rightly conclude that Todd Gloria, he had a chance. He had a chance to make things right. He had a chance to do something. He had the platform, he had the power. He knew everything. Yet, Todd Gloria, Todd Gloria chose to do nothing. Thank you.
Heard from Lucky Duck Foundation and from Bill.
You want us to use the mic or we can just talk from our seats?
If you can use the mic
Sure.
so the folks on the street.
Okay. Hi.
I don't know if this is working. Okay, hi. Bill, Shannon Handy from Channel 8. Last week we did a story about your email interactions with the mayor.
Correct.
And we reached out to the city. And they told us, I won't read the whole statement, but Mayor Gloria and the city of San Diego do more than anyone else to address homelessness, to cast blame for inaction. He is targeting the wrong person. What do you have to say to that? I think you may have said a lot about that already, but
Would you like me to restate my position?
No, just wanted to know if you had anything else to add.
It is an honor to be called out by our failed mayor. History will prove. I have challenged Todd Gloria to prove me wrong. I have given him every opportunity. I have asked him to come with me a day in the life. A day not with police bodyguards, not with chauffeurs, not with media people following him around for staged events. A day in the life of a failed, once great city. I'm waiting. I get no response. Todd responded to my first email, and I have circulated my entire series of emails to Todd Gloria. He responded to the first one. We got on the phone for 45 minutes. At the end of the 45 minutes, we had to go. I had no idea what had just been said, other than excuses, other than hot air, other than him proclaiming what a great job he's doing. I immediately emailed him back. Todd, Gloria, what can I do to help? What are you going to do to help? I have never heard back since that initial conversation, and I have continued to send him emails. And those have all been published, and these words today will be published at the end of our session. I wrote them all, and I stand behind every word that I wrote, every word that I speak.
Artie Ojeda from NBC7 here, guys. And in the interest of fairness and balance here, I want to read from a statement from the city and mayor's office earlier this week, some figures that they put out. The city says that they have connected more than 1,400 people experiencing homelessness to permanent or longer-term housing. They've grown the capacity of the city shelter system by 28%. They've coordinated street outreach teams. They've secured millions of dollars in state grants. They've expanded the city's homelessness service provider network, expanded the department from a staff of 5 to 10 full-time positions. They've launched a new department website that provides the public a comprehensive overview of homelessness programs. I see your smile.
So,
reaction. And Bill,
okay,
let me just
what,
ask you,
what's your question?
Specifically, would you like the city and the mayor's office to do? And this is not a problem that's happened overnight. It's been years in the making, and I'm just kind of curious as to why you're calling out and being so harsh on Mayor Gloria.
I have been complaining to the city for years. They are more than welcome to do their job. They are more than welcome to have their own press conference. Beware people who keep telling you what a great job they're doing. You, with your questions and your tone, you are not believing your own eyes. You're listening to what somebody says about how great they're doing. We live this. I'm not sure what neighborhood you live in, but our neighborhood is under siege. Everything in our lives is dictated by the homeless. And I have been complaining about this for years. It was only recently that somebody else gave the news media my communications with Todd Gloria. But go back and review the tapes of my calls to San Diego PD. Go back and review my conversations with all the city council members that I deal with on a constant basis. Go back and deal with my relationships with the ADA. I'm disabled. I can't get around these massive homeless encampments. Where we live, there are no alternatives. Balboa Park is an intergalactic treasure. And if you ever spent time in there, you would be horrified. And if you're going to sit here and say, to be fair and balanced, what are you looking at?
Can you comment on that information that I gave you, those specific?
The numbers.
And what specifically would you like the city to do?
What I want the city to do is their job. What is their basic job? To provide a safe, secure, healthy, clean environment for us to live, work, and play. That does not mean allowing massive homeless encampments that disrupt everything. That does not allow an unruly and out of control homeless population to be able to attack other people. What I want them to do, get them off the streets, get them out of the park, get them off the sidewalks, get them off the bike path, provide the opportunity. The resources are there, the facilities are there, the endless number of people that want to help, and the excuses that we get are unacceptable, they're absurd, and they're insane.
So Artie, can I take a little shot at this? So what we've done for years and years, we live and breathe this stuff, and we listen to politicians all the time say, we've done A, B, C, D, E, F, and G, but they can't really produce how they got to the numbers. So this would be an example of what I said earlier. It's great that you're putting out numbers, but show us, because we don't get it. We don't see how it's happening, and you cannot shut down certain shelters and add others and claim that, oh, we don't have to talk about the ones we shut down. We just talk about what we've done in our view of it. So what we've dealt with mostly behind the scenes and no longer behind the scenes is listening to garbage politics with numbers that aren't consistent. Everybody's willing to say, here's what they said, but nobody goes back to check to see if they did or didn't do it. So I will tell you from our point of view, Bill's not incorrect in this. So let's challenge the mayor to tell us how he got to those numbers. Because we're out there every day. We've been doing this for a lot of years. We don't get what he's saying.
And while I've asked Todd Gloria to come with me, I ask you, and I ask you, and I ask you, and I ask you, and I ask all of you to come with me for a day and see what it's like. And then you tell me that what they're saying about how things are getting better all the time and we're doing a wonderful job, and then you make your own decision, fair and balanced.
Chris Gentleman, the Times of San Diego. What specifically can and should the city be doing to solve the homeless crisis right now? And this is what foundation. What specific steps could be taken, should be taken right now?
The basic framework for that is engagement, rehabilitation, and enforcement. Get these
Is that
people.
people rounding up the homeless and putting, how many shelter beds do we have? to
You
build?
cannot,
How do we?
you cannot wait for this crisis to solve itself. Okay, how many times in your life when you were growing up did somebody tell you no? And then, okay, and that changed your behavior and it changed your development and your future course of action. No one, Todd Gloria needs to say no. We are not going to accept that, and we have to move forward. And if he's unwilling to do that, Todd Gloria should step aside.
And if I can add to that, there's a local author and leadership expert, Ken Blanchard, says that within every human being there's a pearl of goodness. Look for it, dig for it, and you'll find it. And we believe the pearls of goodness can be found much more quickly if folks are off the streets and connected to services. And on top of that, for all the years this group has spent studying this issue, nobody knows of a single person that as a kid said, when I grow up, I want to live on the streets.
It is cheaper to house someone than to leave them on the streets. It is better for them to be housed than to be left on the streets.
And the Board of Supervisors just considering the rent subsidy program today. What I'm trying to get at is, if you had all the money in the world and all the control, what would you do? Would it be 8,000 beds, 9,000 beds? Would it be taking over a hotel, multiple hotels, a convention center? What's a concrete plan that could be launched?
So let me take a shot at that. It's up to the politicians to come up with the plans. Absent that, we have to work on them. And the simple answer is more beds. But you have to stop talking about what we're going to do in 20 and 25 years, because that's not going to get us there. No more beds, more mental health beds, more beds to take senior citizens who went into homelessness through no fault of their own, through tough economic times, foster kids who age out into the system. Nobody's really paying attention. There's a lot of rhetoric. So you can ask us for the plan, and we've worked on coming up with different plans. How about if the politicians come up with a plan and stop talking about it and start doing something? If you remember East Village 5 years ago, or let's go back 7 years ago, if you remember East Village, it was a nightmare. And nobody liked what was on the streets. And we talked to groups in East Village, and they said, we don't want this in our backyard. And we said, it's in your front yard. I mean, it's not in your backyard anymore. But there is a way to begin a process, and that was putting the Alpha tent and the Father Joe's tent, both of which we paid for. That's actually 3 tents, but in 2 locations that we paid for because government won't do it. And we cleaned up East Village. And if you remember, it wasn't perfect, but near perfect for a while, except for right around Father Joe's. And now it's worse than ever. So it's the politicians who have to come up with a plan and stick with it. And it's the rhetoric of, I've done this, I've done that, I'm the one that's solving it. There's no solving it. You can look at the streets and see that.
So it's more beds, but it's up to the political establishment.
It's up to all of us. We've put up money where they won't put up with money. The city of San Diego, the county of San Diego have more money than anybody. But
And they have the power of enforcement.
But the 2 biggest panhandlers are the city and the county wanting money from nonprofits like us. And here we've got $7 billion in a collective budget. And they're counting on small nonprofits to fund them because they don't want to do it. Well, step up and do your job is our message.
They are asking us to do the job that they are paid for. We are all volunteers. They are asking us to do the job that they won't do. And that is somehow our fault? I don't follow that logic.
And you as the press, I know it's easy to write a story and move on because there's a lot of stuff going on. But every once in a while, it's good to push back and ask them to show where the numbers come from. And if they're right, we're going to applaud them and say, wow, you're right. But they're not right on this issue. So they don't get a pass with, oh, we're doing all kinds of good things. What? Look at the streets.
Before this next question, I want to reiterate, announcing this initiative today. The first round of shamrocks and shipwrecks will roll out in early December. But we want the public to visit shamrocks.lucky.foundation.org to, just like Bill is doing, give us your candid feedback so we can gather that information and help determine who and where to award shamrocks and shipwrecks to. And again, it's going to be all based on facts and meant to highlight what's working so that can be replicated, share best practices, but also shine a light on what's not so that we can correct it or avoid it altogether and overall improve and try to help accelerate the county's approach as it relates to homelessness. Gary?
Hi, it's